Hey fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. I know you've been waiting for this one. It's the Head Auxetic Extreme Tour review. As you know, many of you, I really enjoyed the previous Extreme Tour. I used it competitively on my level for a while. Very nice racket, I enjoyed it a lot. So what's new with this version? Not that much, to be honest. The Auxetic tech does change the feel a little bit. It's just a tiny bit different from the previous generation. I think Head went into this new generation of Auxetic rackets with don't change what isn't broken philosophy, because they've been doing really well. I think a lot of players and pundits and reviewers like the new rackets they've produced since the Graphene 360 Plus. Just adding Auxetic changes a little bit of the feel in pretty much all of the rackets, but it's not a drastic difference. So if you really love the previous generation of the Extreme Tour, you might not need to change to this one. I don't think it's a clear upgrade, although I do see some minor improvements if you're ultra picky. So one of my issues with the previous Extreme Tour was that I felt like I needed to add weight. So I ended up adding a few grams of 12 after trying all different kinds of locations of lead tape. And one tip, as always, don't add too much weight to the racket. It's gonna make it very difficult to control and swing. So if you add weight to any racket, you know, do it in small increments. I always do it kind of by 2 grams at first, and if it really needs more weight, I'll try that. But that's rare that you need to add more than kind of 4 grams total. The sweet spot is not huge. It does feel a little bit unstable towards the sides when you hit a little bit outside. That does not happen with the new Extreme MP, for example. That feels a lot more solid towards the sides of the string bed and the racket head. So if you're looking for a forgiving experience, I don't think the Extreme Tour is the one. What they have improved in this version is a little bit of a cleaner feel. It also feels a tad more comfortable. And that's maybe what Auxetic brings to the string bed, that it feels a little bit better overall, a little bit plusher experience when you're playing with it. Spec-wise, they're all the same as the previous generation. If I would have had my wish, I would have asked them to add a few grams to the hoop to make it a bit more stable. I think this racket could have been 310 grams, like the old Extreme Pro that is not sold anymore. I think that would have been excellent and something they could consider maybe for the next generation. But the 305 grams, it does lead to some instability when you hit outside the center. And that's the case with the 98 square inch head size usually. You feel like it has a little bit less forgiveness obviously than a 100 square inch racket. But if I compare it side by side with the Radical MP that I've been playing a bit recently, I feel like the Radical has a little bit more consistency and forgiveness in the string bed compared to the Extreme Tour, while you get a bit more spin potential perhaps with the Extreme Tour, but it's slight. The differences are pretty slight with these different rackets. Still a very nice frame. I think players who want to get more pop, going from like a Prestige Pro, but for many I think it's required to add some weight to it. My swing weight strung was around 318, but it always depends on what strings you put in. But I think for a tour racket, I would like a few extra grams to have a slightly higher swing weight and a little bit more mass on the ball. And I think this kind of racket is not for kind of 3.0, 3.5, 4.0 NTRP. I think you need to go maybe 4.5 to 5.5 to use this one, because if I compare it directly to the Extreme MP, the current version is much easier to use. And I feel like that one actually is very stable as well. So for me, it's almost like I had more fun with the Extreme MP this time around, while the Extreme Tour was the clear choice in the last generation of the racket. So I think the Extreme MP made a clear stride in the right direction, while this one stays approximately the same. Things that bothered me a bit with the sweet spot and that I felt like I needed to add some weight, they're still there. That's nothing new here in this Extreme Tour. Weight, specs, everything are the same. Feeling a little bit improved, feels a little bit softer on the arm, but overall it's not a huge update. So if you already have 4 Extreme Tours and you've spec'd them up to your specification, I don't think there's a huge need to move to this one, to be fair. I think this one is very much a safe bet from Head, while Extreme MP was more of a drastic improvement. So that's my take. Nothing super sexy here, sadly. I do see some adverse reactions on my social media, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, about the new design and the color combination. I actually enjoy it. I think it looks really good when you're holding it, and I prefer it from the previous generation. But obviously we're all different, but I think you really need to see it up close to kind of identify the colorway, because it is a bit of a daring choice, but I think it really works. So yeah, the Extreme Tour looks like this. I ended up adding 2 grams up here, which is the usual take. I wanted to do the same thing as I did with my previous Extreme Tour, and I added about 5 grams here because I like a little bit more headlight feel. This one it has a nice sensation in the string bed with the right string. You can go for a hybrid setup, for example, and you can go for a Lynx Tour, but string it pretty low, maybe 45 pounds, 20 kilos, around that. I think you'll enjoy that one because it opens up a bit more of the sweet spot. If you're gonna string it at 53 pounds, for example, I think you will feel that the racket feels a little bit stiffer, obviously, and also you will be less forgiving. So going for a lower tension will open up a little bit more forgiveness towards the sides of the hoop. Maybe adding weight 10-2 felt a bit sluggish, 3 and 9 also a bit sluggish to me, so I ended up with 12 o'clock. But if you're an advanced player, like I said about Nicky, he can add both 12 and 3 and 9, and some counterbalance, maybe a leather grip, silicone in the handle or something like that, and get a really nice playing frame. So the frame is still very good, excellent for spin, some power and some control, but there's not much of a difference to the previous generation. The Extreme MP is a bit more lively, this one is a bit more controlled, so probably in the end, playing sets and matches, I would still go for the Tour, but the choice is a bit tougher with this generation of the Extremes. Very keen to hear what you feel about it. Some comments I've already seen, and some of you feel like it's a little bit softer, slightly cleaner feel in the string bed, but that's what I've seen so far. And I think the general consensus is there is a need to add a little bit of weight, a smidge of weight, to make it play a bit more stable on especially volleys. I felt like I needed that weight a bit more. I hope you enjoyed the review. If you want to purchase any of these rackets, check out my affiliates, Tennis Warehouse, Tennis Warehouse Europe, and Tennis Only. And don't forget to download the app from Fuzzy Yellow Balls in the App Store. Really cool app. They have a module there called Crush It. Teaches you to use your kinetic chain in a much better way to generate more pop on your shots, which is what we all need. And they have the serve module for free. So you just click one of the numbers and you get to that part of the body. And then you get some excellent tips from a guy who's very, very skilled in this area, Mark Kovac. And they will really illustrate a few tips and ideas on how to get more power on your serve. Really recommended. Fuzzy Yellow Balls app, link in description. That's about that. Have a nice day and don't forget to play some tennis.